Uh, Greetings and welcome to traders and investors and everyone who is today's audience for this interview on 2nd February 2021. My name, for those who don't know me, is Qasim Khan. I'm an engineer, finance professional, and entrepreneur, a former banker, and globally connected with investors on products. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, and today we are going to have an exciting interview with an innovative company which is part of the OTC markets. The ticker name is SFOR, short for StrikeForce Technology. As we know, nowadays, cybersecurity is the talk of the planet, with new vulnerabilities arising in products and causing potential economic and security damage to nations worldwide. During 2020, we started working from home, and work from home has become the new norm. And collaboration technologies such as video conferencing have become an essential tool used by organizations, countries, and communities to connect each other worldwide. Today, I would gladly like to introduce one such company that emerged out of the pandemic with new promises in the reliability and security arena, which are the most important factors to support global industry. I have here with me Mark Kay, the CEO of SFOR, StrikeForce Technologies, Chief Technology Officer Ram, the brains behind StrikeForce Technologies, and George Waller, EVP and Corporate Head of Marketing for StrikeForce Technology. Mark, Ram, and George, gentlemen, welcome to this interview today. And thanks for hosting this interview on Safe WeChat platforms. Congratulations for your new innovation, and hopefully we will all learn more about it today from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we are going to keep the tone very relaxed, and I'll start off with my first question to Mark. Mark, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little about yourself, your career history, whatever you want to tell us about your professional summary in terms of what you have been doing.
Why, that's a hell of a lot. That could be the whole interview. But keeping it short, because it's not as important to everybody as Safety Chatter these days anyway. I worked for a company called EDS way back when it was run by Ross Perot when he was still alive, actually. I worked for him for about 6-7 years, and that's when I saw the country and lived all over the country, and it was great. A very technical company. I learned the detailed technical pieces around IBM and all the computers, built many different systems. Then I joined JP Morgan, which was another great company and a great bank. I worked for them for 26 years. I worked for EDS for 7 years. JP Morgan, 26 years. I was a managing director. I was a COO for many years, running the fixed income systems, as well as the technology around it. And I got involved in running it around the world as well. And there I got to see the rest of the world. So EDS is for the country, JP Morgan is for the rest of the world. And then I figured I had enough at that point. But then I was going to retire at 26 at JP Morgan. And then, I met George, and he talked to me about possibly joining them. And I said, no way in the world would I do that. And then, of course, I met Ram, and make a long story short, I joined StrikeForce Technologies as a CEO. I was going to work there for 4 years and then be rich and go home. Well, now it's 19 years later, not quite 4. And not rich yet, that's for sure. But we are about to. We're about to become very rich. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I just couldn't leave it. And I'm a detailed tech guy all my life. Now I don't know much about technology that's going on, but I could still argue how it works internally. So and then of course when I joined StrikeForce Technologies, I became the CEO, helped run it, and we had some really tough years. But we're here 19 years already, and now I think we're in a very, very positive situation.
That's thank you. That's very, very descriptive, and we get the gist of it. And my next question is to Mr. Ram, the brains behind this new video conferencing product. Please, Ram, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about your education background and experience and how you connected with StrikeForce technology.
Sure, yeah. I'm Dr. Raju, and let me see. My work career started in 1981. I joined a company called Coordinate Technology doing fiber optics. And then in 1984, I started a computer security company. 1984 was pretty early for computer security, and our clients were basically banks and the government. Was doing that for about 5 years. I built a system that was certified by the NSA and built some early callback systems and antivirus software. So I had a couple of partners, did that for about 5 years, and then I left that and they actually sold the company to this other firm. And I joined Bell Labs. It was AT&T Bell Labs then, and was with them for about 9+ years. And then left them. I joined Belcore, which then became Telcordia. Was with them for some time, and so when I went to Bell Labs, I shifted from doing security to telecom, and worked in all aspects of telecom, all the way from the large switches to essentially voice over IP and pretty much everything out there. And then in I think it was probably in 2003 or so, I met George, or maybe it was 2002. Also met George, and then we started this company, StrikeForce. And so, I mean, we started with the notion, and so I basically came back in security after many years. And the idea was to create an authentication system where you would not have to enter your password into the same path. Because what I saw was that in those days internet came very quickly, but security did not come at the same pace. And so you could go and log into your bank and just enter your username and password, and if your password was compromised, you were gone. So we came up with a system called out-of-band authentication, where you would enter your login into your web page, but then you would get authenticated in a separate path on a separate network. So it kind of made sense to it could be any network, but the most convenient was a phone network. So in practice, what would happen is that you would enter your username into the website, and then your phone would ring, and then you would enter your password into the phone. So this kind of transitioned that into like a platform where we build like a number of different authentication schemes, including biometrics, and then later on tokens, and then from there. But it was kind of hard going initially because we were up against the giants, we were up against RSA and all the big boys, and really two-factor authentication in those days was just was mainly about RSA and about hard tokens. And when we came up with the phone as authentication device, back in I would say in the 2000s, the phone, essentially wireless phones, were not as good. In the sense that you would not get reception, very well, very easily, and really every time you gave a demo, you would cringe because you would not know if the phone would ring or not. Of course, it would also work with desk phones. So then, even though we came up with a new innovative system, we kind of found it hard to break into the market. So we also built token systems, so that we could offer a product which RSA also had. And from there we kind of built biometric, and so it pretty much ended as a platform, and then we built like a cloud version of it. So then, while we were doing this struggle to really get this going, we figured that it was actually a Gartner that kind of pointed us towards trying to tackle the the problem of banking malware. And at the time, what we saw was that a lot of banking systems were getting hacked because you had this malware which would grab the keystrokes.
Uh-huh.
And then once they had that information, then the hackers would log in. And the antivirus systems in those days, didn't really work. And even now they don't really work because you only just as an example. For a couple of years back, it was estimated there's about 500 million new pieces of malware out there, and only about 25 million signatures for antivirus products. So there's a 95% chance that you have a piece of malware, and you don't know it. So the thing is, when we set out to tackle this problem, we figured that obviously we don't have the resources to attack, and we can build a better system than them to detect any kind of viruses or malware. So we figured that we need to do something different. So what we did was we said that rather than try to detect malware, we will stop what a malware does. And then, so what we found was that most of the malware, once they would penetrate the system, either through a phishing attack or through like a drive-by attack on the web, and now you see all the newer supply chain attacks like the ones you're seeing with SolarWinds, where they basically compromise the software. They're all different entry points for the malware to come in. But the key question is, what does the malware do once it comes in, right? So what we found out is that there's a few things it does, which is one is basically grab keystrokes. Okay, it will try to capture any kind of screenshots. Okay, and basically compromise data that way. So we figured rather than try to detect the malware, which was a losing game, we would protect what a malware was trying to go after. So which is why we said, okay, let's mask the keystrokes, let's encrypt the keystrokes, let's prevent the screenshots from being grabbed. Okay, let the copy buffer from being copied. Okay, so it's a preventive approach, and so this way, no matter whether you have known malware or unknown malware or any malware in the future, this approach will always work. So which is when we built our second product, Guarded ID, and then later on we built a mobile version of that, Mobile Trust, and which is where we were until the pandemic hit, and then we kind of saw what was happening with Zoom, and then when we also Zoom, we saw how bad the security was, and all the security issues. So which is figured that we have all the security software, so it kind of made sense to use the security software and craft a secure video conferencing solution, and also at the same time that kind of led us to kind of enhance our Guarded ID software and build a new version called Privacy Lock, where we secure not just keystrokes but secure the entire media, which is your video, your audio.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
We'll get into more detail.
Right. So it's a kind of long introduction, but kind of tells you how the career evolves. So.
That's excellent that your experiences bring so much into the security arena, which is one of a kind, and the whole world is right now watching what StrikeForce technologies do in this arena. And I think there are a lot of people out there who have banked on the promises and the commitments that StrikeForce technology brings, and I think there's so much in the future which will tell us where you would stand. So let's move on to George. So George, please also introduce yourself and how you got connected with StrikeForce Technologies.
Sure. Thank you. So my name is George Waller. I'm one of the co-founders of StrikeForce Technologies. My background is not as illustrious as Mark's or Ram's. I was in college. I was studying aeronautical engineering. At the time, I had parents that were sick, so I had to leave and start working. I left college, started working, bringing in money, taking care of my parents, and I finally started working at a company, and it was a computer company, and I was there for a couple weeks, and 3 weeks later, the company came in and got bought out, and I'll never forget this. The new company owner came in and said, "Sorry, I got to let all you guys go." I said, "I started 3 weeks ago. What do you mean you let me go?" And they said, "Oh, well, we got to let everyone go. Where they got bought by a company called Computerland." He says, "And we want to get into network and security and stuff like that." And I says, "Well, you got to give me a shot." And he finally says, "You know what? I'll give you a shot." And because I told him I wasn't going to leave. And I says, "Yeah, I'm going to be sleeping here, so you got to give me a shot." So he gave me a shot, and that was my entree into computers. And that was in the late '80s, early '90s. And so from there, I worked at a couple of different computer places. I started with hardware, started with services, going into security. I was involved with a security company for a while, and then I found myself working in New Jersey at a company where the owner had about 500 developers and mostly offshore development work. And that's where I met Ram. And Ram was looking to potentially have some work done. And after Ram told me about the technologies that he had built, I was like, you know what, this is just too good to be true. I literally, within a couple months, I quit my job and I started working with Ram. And we started at that point trying to raise monies. We did. We raised some monies to help fund the company. At which point we then came across Mark. And as Mark said, I ran into Mark. Someone introduced me to Mark, and after a couple months of Ram and I courting Mark, Mark finally came over, and which we're very thankful because then Mark helped us both financially. Then he helped us bring us to become a public company, and he's been leading the effort since his joining in 2003. So that's kind of my background, and I handle at StrikeForce sales, marketing, our channel development, and help Ram with things that he needs, help Mark with things that he needs. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, work on all aspects of the company.
Yeah. Can you hear my voice correctly?
I can hear you perfectly.
Thank you so much, George, for that wonderful introduction. And seems StrikeForce brings a lot of experience in the human capital with them. Ram, my next question, how did you come up with the name Field Chat? What was the ideology and technicalities behind it? How does it ensure the subject of cybersecurity on this particular platform?
Okay, so the name came up. It was George who came up with the name. As far as why we built it. I mean, as I said, when we were working from home in the initial months of the pandemic, and we kind of realized that, and we saw what pretty much what was happening with Zoom. I mean, there was a lot of concern around Zoom and all the security issues. So we felt that we could do better, and also at the same time, we thought that this is an opportunity for us. Just this video conferencing could be the perfect killer application for us. Okay, where we could kind of bring together all the products we had and make it a part of a single solution. So it seemed like a unique opportunity, and and the whole industry was moving so fast. But the thing is, what we saw was that there's no video conferencing system out there which was inherently built with security in mind. You had at Cisco with its WebEx, you had Zoom, you had Microsoft with its Teams, but they're all video conferencing systems first. And security has been an afterthought because we have never been in such an unprecedented situation where, where about half the people are working from their home, and at the same time we have all these different security attacks. So which is why we thought that it kind of made sense to pivot, okay, but not completely a pivot in the sense, because security itself is also a very hot area, but sort of work at the intersection of both conferencing and security, and we ended up building this product in record time, okay, with just a handful of engineers. And also it kind of helped that we already had most of the security components that we could kind of bolt onto this, and at the same time, we figured that this would be our entry into companies, and then once we are already in there with the solution, and they saw how systems work, then it's easier to sell. I mean, product ID, the driver ID, and all the other stuff that we had. So this is why we felt that this kind of made sense, and which is where we are today.
All right, thank you. That's very wonderfully narrated. Mark, my next question is with you. Why do you think organizations and the common man will use Safe WeChat, whereas we know a number of platforms are available in the market already? What differentiates the approach taken by Safe WeChat as a product?
That's a real simple question with a real simple answer. It's called security. Safety Chat is built and based on security. The security products it's based on are all the products these guys have been telling you. Tech ID was built in 2003 and 4, whenever it went live, and kept improving. The Guard ID was built in 2006 or 8, whenever that was a year, and that kept improving. This product is built on top of those products. It wasn't built by itself in a vacuum. So, matter of fact, the 4 of us are on this call, and nobody else, I guarantee, is on this call, because they have to be authenticated. And Ram, who set us up to get into this call, was responsible for that. And he didn't have any other name, so no one else could ever get into this call, steal anything from it, do anything specific to it, because they were not authenticated into this product. This is the only product in the marketplace that works that well. And it's all about security. The other products really don't have any security. They might have passwords, but password isn't secure. Anybody can come in with a password and figure out what your password is and make it work. So that's the real reason that Safety Chat is here, and that's the real reason why we think it's going to be very, very popular.
Can I add to that, if I may?
Yes, please.
So adding on to what both Mark and Ram said, as Ram said, there are no other cybersecurity companies that actually built video conferencing solutions. So therefore, we came out with a very different approach with 20 years of cybersecurity. So we built cybersecurity DNA right into the platform. But when you really look at what we've done is what the other products out there on the market don't do, right? So none of them protect with strong authentication, as Mark was just saying, for access for every individual logging into it. That's why there's even these things called Zoom bombing, right? Which is someone that shouldn't be in a meeting getting into the meeting. I'm getting emails and phone calls from schools, hospitals, universities, Fortune 100 companies, literally all the time saying we need to try a new solution that doesn't allow someone to get in on our video conferences, because we're talking about information that's private. Maybe it's PHI information or PII information, or it could be government secrets, or it could be a public company talking about strategy or intellectual property. So they're very fearful of someone coming in and getting that information. And the other thing that Ram did was when he looked at video conferencing, he says, another thing that no one else does out there, not only can we make sure that no one can get into it, because we're going to apply strong two-factor authentication for everyone, but Ram also looked at it and said, guess what? There's no other video conferencing product out there that protects the camera. There's no other video conferencing product out there that protects your keyboard. There's no other video conferencing that protects your clipboard or your microphone in, and most importantly, your microphone out. Now, when you think about this, all these companies that are now using remote, remote working, they're talking with customers. Well, guess what? Those customers are talking personal or financial or secretive information, and it's coming out over the speakers. And we're the only company out there that's figured out how to lock down your camera, your microphone, your speakers, your keyboard, your clipboard, and stop screen scraping. So that's what, adding on to what Mark and Ram said, that's what makes this product so unique, because there is no other product that can lock everything down. And that, Qasim, is what people want today, because they're fearful of all this data being stolen. You know, if you look at all the people today, everyone's working remotely, and because of that, they're not on their corporate networks any longer. And they're using their home computers in a lot of instances to do work, which are far more susceptible to being hacked versus when they're on the corporate network. So therefore, that's why our solution is so important for these days today, because we protect that remote user, that remote worker, that's basically speaking with others, and we protect every aspect of that video conference. And there's no other product out there that does that.
That's amazing. There are so many unique things about Safe WeChat. You know that. I mean, I'm hearing you narrate it, and like it's just so too good to be true. Actually, at this point, but it has to be put to the test by the masses and the corporations and the organizations worldwide. And I think we're going to have a very good look. We're going to have a very microscopic look at the future onwards. And wow,
you know, Qasim, I'd say one other quick thing is, it's not that, what we've built, what Rama built has been absolutely stellar and miraculous and incredible. But you know what? The bigger question is this: why hasn't one other company built in strong security into their video conferencing system? You know why? Because they're not cybersecurity companies. They don't know what to do. They have no idea about cybersecurity. We're a cybersecurity company. That's why we knew what to build. I mean, you look at companies like WebEx, 28 years. They don't even have strong two-factor authentication for every one of their users. What's going on there? Well, you look at Zoom, 10 years, worth $40, $50 billion. They don't have strong authentication. They don't protect cameras or anything. What's going on with that? Why aren't these companies protecting the people? That's what we're doing. We're looking at the value of the information of the people that are, using video conferencing, and we're protecting it. We're the only company protecting it.
Perfect. Excellent. Thanks for the detailed add-on for that question. And we're going to discuss more on that area. Mark, how did the idea come to your mind, and how you innovated this company? What was the concept behind it, and what were you thinking?
It was simple. I didn't really innovate the company. They innovated me. They got me to join them, and the best thing I ever did for this company's innovation is to leave them alone. Let George and Mom have all their private meetings in the back room when I was pretending not to listen. These new products that they knew, if they told me, I'd scream and yell, only because I'm focused on getting things built and done. As a matter of fact, this product itself, Safe WeChat, this started about a year ago, where there was no idea of a pandemic. There was nothing going on. This was just Ram's natural thinking. He's a genius when it comes to technology, and he's very electronic. So this is really natural thinking of what we have. And then the pandemic hit. Holy Christ. It's perfect timing now, but we didn't plan it that way. But it came up that way, and we feel real good about that. So that's the real reason that it looks like I became innovative. I didn't. I just let these guys do their job and move on. And they're all free thinkers. The three of us run the company in a very unnatural way, and it works beautifully.
No wonder there's so much happening.
There's something there. So there's something I would like to add. I think Mark is being a bit modest. I think the most important thing is to keep the company alive, right? I mean, and that's one thing that Mark has done in very innovative ways. I mean, if the company is not there, then you would not be having this chat. And as we all realize, I mean, it's been a very difficult ride. Okay, and I think all of us have made sacrifices, in different ways, and just keeping the company going is for so many years. Okay, is no joke, and I think definitely the credit for that should go to Mark.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So so you can innovate on many fronts. It doesn't have to be just innovating on product or marketing, but also on the financial front. So it takes a team to really take this journey forward. So
One wonderful energy there, and as a part of the market that you trade in, I'm so impressed by your sentiments and the kind of energy you have as a team, and I'm sure the other shareholders will also be happy to hear all these sentiments of having a team, and because you've come out with something so innovative and so unique that it's going to change a lot of things that are happening around us, because security, vulnerability, these are all things that exist. And today I'm hearing things like vulnerabilities and various incumbent technologies that have very big names. Like I'm seriously, I mean, it's unreal, and I find it very hard to believe. And but yes, you have patents, and it's wonderful. So Ram, tell us about your patents. And how many do you have, and what international certifications and bodies is it compliant with? Please detail us on the patents held by StrikeForce.
I think we probably have like maybe how many
7.
patents? Seven patents. Uh, 7 patents. And then we have about few in process. I think 1 or 2. But personally, besides that, I have some of the patents which I got while I was working at AT&T, and also with the prior company that I had. And they had some patents. So I mean, having patents is good, but uh, trying to monetize it is something else. And as people who have followed the StrikeForce journey know, we've had our ups and downs, with that. But we feel that we have very strong patents, and that sometime or the other, I'm sure that we will look into seeing how we can make money off it again. But for right now, our focus is to really get the business going,
Mm-hmm.
and grow the company. And
That's really nice. Ron, tell me, what in your view, you are as a technology brain behind SafeWeChat, what if I were to ask you make SafeWeChat unique from everything under the sun that is in the same video conferencing space?
okay, so I mean, the thing is, one very simple way to understand SafeWeChat is the following, right? Uh, right now, the way Zoom, or like Cisco WebEx works, something, or Teams, you get a link in an email, okay, and you just click on the link, and boom, you're the conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that experience is similar to if somebody is outside a company building, some stranger on the street, if they know where the meeting room is, they can easily go in there. Okay? All you need to know is the address of the meeting room, and anyone can go in there, right? But that's not the experience you have in real life. Okay, you only want to allow uh, only selected employees in, right? So the first check you have to do is that you only have to allow employees into the building. You can't let anybody into the building just because they know where a meeting is being held, right? So the first check is an authentication. Okay, and we use the best authentication system, two-factor or a bank. But just because you're authenticated doesn't mean you're allowed to go into that particular meeting, right?
Mhm.
Don't let any employee walk into any meeting of a CEO or anybody else. You only have a select list of people who are supposed to enter the meeting, uh, are actually allowed into them. So the second layer we have is that we have this access control, okay, where only a select list, those who are supposed to be in the actual meeting, are allowed into the meeting. So just because you're authenticated doesn't mean you get into the meeting. You have to be authenticated plus you have to be a meeting participant. So, which is the second thing, which makes it unique. Then the third thing is that when you're in the meeting room, you want to ensure that the meeting room is not bugged. Okay, nobody is listening into the meeting. So building that secure environment virtually is where the privacy law part comes in. It essentially makes sure that the meeting is held in a secure environment where no piece of malware can listen in, either through video, or audio, or like keystrokes or basically scraping the screen. So I mean, if you take a look, I mean, where the current systems like Zoom are, they're like if you get a link, you're into the meeting. So it's like a stranger, if they know where the meeting is held, can easily get into the meeting. Yeah. Whereas with us, you have to be an employee. That means you have to be authenticated. Only if you're on the meeting, allow meeting list, are you allowed into the meeting? And third, you're in a secure meeting space. Nobody has that.
Let's simplify it for our general audience. If I were to ask you an add-on question that compared to the other technologies, how much percentage or how better is Safety Chat today?
Okay, I mean, how better means how much do you value your information? I mean, is there a price you can put on your information? You can, right? You can, right? So, I mean, the value of information is the value of information. So, I mean, it's not like 10%, 20%. It's not something I can't quantify. But as I said, the way it is today is that if I have a Zoom meeting link, I can enter that meeting. Yes, I may have I may put them into the waiting room, stuff like that, and we have all these features. We have waiting room feature and all those things. But at the end of the day, you don't have these three layers, which is authentication and then being allowed, only if you're a meeting participant, and then being in a secure meeting space. Nobody has that, and trying to retrofit that into it is not that easy. In fact, the thing is, what we are looking at is to provide some of these safe features for Zoom and for others. So I mean, not just for Safety Chat, but also allow certain parts of a security to Zoom customers, to the customers for Microsoft Teams, of WebEx, make them more secure. Because at the end of the day, if you make everybody more secure, everybody wins, and obviously we make more money. So
Wow.
So it's a win-win situation. So I think we can talk more about what our marketing plan is with this.
If I could just add to what Ram was saying, when you ask, is it important, and when you ask is there a number significantly better or not, let's put it like this. 3 months ago, both the Department of Justice and the FBI put out press releases all around the country saying that hackers are after video conferencing and that they're stealing data faster, because hackers always go where money is, right? And if they're stealing data super fast because they're able to infect your computer, we know that. And what do? They're going to steal your keystrokes. They're going to steal anything, that they can see, anything that they can hear, and they're going to use that information. So the fact that we're the only company out there that protects all those components on your computer, your camera, your microphone, your audio speakers out, your keyboard, your clipboard, unwanted screenshots, and the fact that there's not another company out there that does that, well, personally, I would rate us, if you're going to rate it on a scale of from 1 to 100, I would say, well, we get 100 for protection, and everyone else gets like a 2, because they're not doing anything about protection. See, what they're about is they care to be there if you want to have a get together with your friends and have a cocktail party on a Friday night, and everyone could see and talk about each other's life, but they are not there. They're not concerned about your security. They're not concerned about protecting your camera or your microphone or your speakers or your keyboard or your clipboard. And by the way, even if they were concerned, there's nothing they can do about it because they're not cybersecurity people and they've never developed applications, protocols, and software to protect all those things. Guess what? ROM has. We're both an authentication vendor. That's how we started. Then we built a desktop keystroke encryption technology. Then we built a mobile encryption technology. And then we took those and expanded on those and then built a video conferencing solution. And there's another thing that ROM also built, which is super important. One of the biggest things that people hate about video conferences, there's a lot of studies, a lot of surveys that talk about what people like about video conference, what don't they like about it. You know the three top things that people care about with a video conferencing, you know what they are? Number one, ease of use. Ease of use, got to be easy to use. Well, the first thing is you didn't have to download a client. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to go to a link. You're going to put in your authentication credentials and you log in. So we eliminate that desktop client. Now, not only is that make it simple to use, because we get people come on and say, oh my God, it's so simple to use. Not only is it simple to use, but that desktop client is one of the first things that the hackers go after. Because if they could exploit that desktop client, like the Zoom client, the WebEx client, the Meet Me Now client, the Join Me, the Blue Jeans, all those, that desktop client handles your microphone, your camera, and your audio in and out. So if I can exploit that desktop client, I could listen to all those things. So in a dual way, we eliminated that desktop client both from a security perspective because it's dangerous to have one, and secondly, it makes it's so much easier to join a video conference. So we make your experience so much more enjoyable. I went on. Someone invited me to a Teams conference before. That stupid thing was sat there turning. I was waiting for it to update. It was turning. Finally, it crashed on my system, and then I had to reboot it. Even the guy says that it was a big analyst firm. They said we've had nothing but problems with this. So not only did we solve two big problems, both security and ease of use, but then we also came in monetarily at the right number so that when you look at the three key areas, what I said earlier, what do people want? They want something that's secure, they want something that's affordable, and they want something that's easy to use. We are the only company that ticks all three of those boxes. We're affordable, we're easy to use, and we provide the highest level of security.
Wow. That's really nice. So there must be a lot of vacuum out there and people must be approaching you from left, right, and center. What is the response, George, from the Fortune 500 companies? What are your plans? What are you working on?
Well, okay, so while we love the Fortune 500, the Fortune 300, the Fortune 50, we love all of them. But we look at all companies, right? Because we look at data, we look at people, we look at businesses. We want to protect them all, right? So let me tell you about some of the, it was actually overwhelming, the response to this. When Mark put out the press release about a month and a half ago, and we did one or two tweets about it, in the last month, the last 5 weeks since he put that out, we've generated, by the way, this is with no marketing yet, we've generated over 600 companies have now come to us. And every day, more and more companies are coming to us, and they're asking us to, there are people there are people that are representing companies, and they're coming to us wanting to know more. And they're going out of their way to reach out to us to ask us to let them use the software, let them try the software, explain to them what's so different about our software. Similar questions that you ask. Why are we more secure than Microsoft Teams or Blue Jeans or Zoom or WebEx? So once we explain it, they go like, oh my God, there is no comparison. And so what we've been doing is we've been spending the last several weeks putting companies onto the system and letting them evaluate it. And I'll tell you what, we get emails and calls from people every day saying, you know, we were Zoom bombed yesterday in my school. They came on and some perverts showed lewd material in front of a bunch of kindergartners. People getting naked and they're going on a Zoom conference instead in front of a teacher with a bunch of kindergartners. I had a principal call me the other day and begged, how soon can we get up? How soon can we start using this? We can't take chances anymore. We have kids that we're now responsible for because we're inviting them in on a remote conference, but meanwhile, they're Zoom bombing that conference, and now these kids are being, literally, they're being attacked with information that they shouldn't be attacked with, right? And they're fearful, and the kids are crying to their parents. The parents are threatening to sue the schools. I mean, I've had a principal call me. I had dozens of companies call me telling me similar stories. So once we show them the system and we assure them of everything that we're doing, how it works, they are like, oh my God, thankfully someone finally came along that brought a solution that's easy to use, that's cost effective, and that provides security. Again, going back to those, why do people want a solution? Top 3 reasons. And then from the people that are using it, Mark and Ram were very, especially Mark, they want to have a controlled rollout, right? We didn't want to open up for the whole world to do it right at first. We want to basically roll it out in very controlled. We're working through our partners, working with the companies. And I'll tell you this, we've had Fortune 300 companies come to us that essentially said they were going to sign contracts with some of the bigger players that they chose not to, and that they're waiting they're now evaluating us and coming on, and they're going to trial it first. And so our trial that we're going through right now, the trials that we're putting people out, we're not charging a single person right now. We've been just putting it out there, letting them use it. We want to get the feedback, because one of the things that Ron is very big on, and Mark too, is taking feedback from the users and building that into the solution. Help us make it better, right? Listen, we don't have the experience 28 years of doing this. We just don't, right? We're doing this about a year now. But we've come from a technology perspective. We far out jumped every one of those other players. So now what we're doing is we're making sure that everything works accordingly as it should, make sure that it's easy to use, make sure that we build in the added, not only the value of security, but the features and functions that people want to make it easy to use, make it simple to use, make it easy to train their others in their company, easy to invite partners into it or end users, participants. So that's what we're doing right now. We are getting ready to, as we get closer to launching this officially to the world, where we're putting together a lot of marketing plans. I don't know if Mark wants me to discuss all of them right now, but we have, he's shaking his head no. So that means I can't. I would love to talk with you. But we have, let me just say this. We've got, there are many irons in the fire on different things, from working with analyst groups to, new websites, social media, IR, investor relations, and then, many other aspects. And by the way, not only is an overwhelming response to this, it's not just in the U.S. Right before this call, I was on with a new reseller that's coming on in the Middle East, and they're out of Jordan. They cover, about 7 countries throughout the Middle East, and these guys have been out there for years, and they were distributing one of the other technologies. They already gave their notice. They dropped them. They're coming over to us. They are a cybersecurity company, and they love what we bring to the table. I have companies, Canada. I got companies throughout Europe are calling us asking us how do we use this, and we're now putting on channel partners in Europe, distributors in Europe, distributors throughout the Middle East, Asia, Australia. So we're working with all these different areas right now to grow our partners so that they're out there actually deploying it. We're building it. We're setting up all the marketing, all the market approaches to really develop, to drive this to where safety chat will be a household word.
That's really nice to know. If I were to ask you, just to hint us, like how 2021 will look like, what would you say to that?
Oh, I think I'll let Mark answer that one because I'll just fall on the floor. I'll let Mark answer that.
Yeah, I get the tough ones, right? I mean, 2021, obviously, based on what George said, we expect it to be very large. We're about to do some projections for the year, but it's so very difficult to do it. I mean, as George said, we're getting a lot of strong input. We still have to do a lot more testing with the major companies. We're pushing out to the smaller companies, but not the major ones. We do have some big names that everyone keeps bugging us for, but we can't give them because they don't want us to. So 2021 could be very strong. Maybe it won't, but it'll definitely be a positive year. I mean, investment-wise, we got enough money through the Reg A we just did, as we put out this morning's release, that we made $2.5 million from it and paid off all of our debt. So we feel good, and then we're looking at other monies as well. So we're feeling very good. We feel we're strong as a company, and we're definitely trying to get all these pieces done on Safety Chat, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time. No matter what anybody wants us to do, we just have to work it through the time we get. And, we could add people. That's easy, but adding people is not what we need right now. We just need more time and getting the product working very, very well. And then we could hire some of these larger companies that are waiting for us to do it and will wait for us. And who knows how long. I can't say other than it should become a positive year. First quarter won't be so great. Maybe just a few people will be on board. The second quarter, and obviously we should build it up. And by the end of the year, we should be very strong. But who knows?
Fair enough. That's a wonderful answer. Mark, why did you want to list your company to OTC QB, and why not NASDAQ?
Well, first of all, we're having a hard time getting on the QB right now. We started, we didn't tell anyone exactly, but we started applying for the QB about over a month ago. And we're talking to them on a regular basis, and they're asking for a lot of information. But as I said earlier, the information is getting very difficult, very tough, and they're being questioned a lot from their new boss about to be. And they're being very questioned on convertible debts, and we had a lot of convertible debt. So they're looking into all of that with us. And they just asked me today for something else I have to work on the next couple of days to give them. QB is a good starting point. It's not necessary, but it's a good starting point to grow up. And then you have to get to the NASDAQ when you really want to get out of the doldrums of some of the bad investors that are out there. And they can play with the pink sheets. They can play with anybody in the OTC, to be honest. So NASDAQ is your next best shot. And we're talking to some major investors that are working on some major deals for us. But that'll take time to get to NASDAQ. It'll take about a year, and maybe even longer. We're not sure. And everyone keeps asking, are you going to do a reverse split? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? We don't know what the hell we're going to do yet, but we probably won't need one. Maybe we will. We don't know until we get there. We're hoping the price will keep going up. So we're not sure. We just finished the Reg A. So a lot of the people that we're selling it to, we're no longer selling anything. So we're holding pat below $1 billion, below 800 million, as I said earlier in the press release. And we're doing very, very well. So we're just working very hard at getting Safety Chat done and ready. And we're having a lot of consultants work for us. And that's what we do these days. We have the money, so we hire plenty of consultants, and some of the best ones out there, but they're hard to find. Video conferencing is a tough market. It's a very specific market. And we're doing the best we can with the time frame and resources we have.
Thank you for that answer. Mark, you mean to tell me that your company is actually debt-free now, And
I didn't say that. Time out. I didn't say debt free. I said we paid off a lot of the convertible debt. We still owe a lot of debt to some of our older friends and family way back when, so we're not debt free. We have about $2 to $3 million in debt we still owe.
fair
If
enough.
you're correct, I think it's correct.
So, do you foresee the earning per share being positive before the end of the year?
Well, again, we're moving towards getting a major player and a major investment into StrikeForce. To do that, we do have to become debt free. To become debt free, we need to get a major player. We are now talking to actually three major players, two that are very sizable. One of them, it's very large. We talked today about getting the deals. The paperwork on these freaking deals is so much, it's unbelievable. So we're getting a lot. We'll be working through them. At which point, once we get debt free, and that'll probably take us 6 months to a year to get debt free, then we should be a very, very sizable company, very workable. Definitely we'll be able to move forward and get anybody on as a client, which we probably will do anyway with Safety Chat. But I think we have to go that route. We have to be debt free, and we have to have the money to pay for it as well, which is why we're looking to take some investments on with some major players, not just the rinky dinks that we do up to date, but some of the guys that really would put in, the 5 to 10 to 15 million. And we're working very hard on those right now. So I can't say for sure where we'll be.
Hopefully, everything will be good. In our just a moment ago, Mark, you said a lot of things that you didn't know about that could happen or could not happen. One of the things was you mentioned even on reverse split. That a lot of people ask me, will it happen or you don't know. But the thing is, when a reverse split is indicated, it is assumed as a red flag for the investors, especially for the retail traders. So could you be sure about something like this for them today? For this interview, if you are sure about it.
We can't. Even if we said we were sure, it doesn't matter. We're a public company. We have to tell everybody at the same time. So this is not the way we would do it. And if we were going to do it reverse in the future, we would have to put it out and tell everybody. And so we're not sure. And we probably aren't doing it at this point. To get on the NASDAQ, we might need to at that point. That's a year away. A lot can happen in 1 year. Until then, we have no reason to do it. And that's what our thinking is.
Perfect. Perfect.
If I could just add one more thing, when Mark said before. So when he's talking about the past debt, it's really early note holder debt that he's talking about. We've taken care of basically most of our debt with the monies that we've raised and the convertible notes and stuff like that. What Mark was saying is more from the early note holders. For example, Mark himself put a bunch of money into the company when he came in. So that's the money he's talking about from 15, 18 years ago, not recent or anything like that. It's an early note holder money. And that's almost all friends and family.
Okay.
I just want to clear that up.
I think I've taken up a lot of time from you all. And Mark, as my final question for the day, would you like to give your shareholders a message today through this interview?
Sure. No, that'd be very nice, and I appreciate the opportunity. Well, first of all, I want to remind everybody, we're doing this interview on Safety Chat. This is the product we've been talking about. This is the product George spoke so highly of. This is the product we're going to be selling to everybody. You all see it. It works beautifully. It's very strong. It's very capable. It works in a great, responsible area. We do it through the Amazon network now. We might do it through something else in the future, but it's well played out. A lot of people are keeping an eye on it, and it works very, very well. And that's the key. So we will start selling it to, again, small, medium-sized companies. We will get it out to the large companies in the future. And I just want to thank all the shareholders for hanging in there with us, staying with us, seeing what we do. Don't forget, we went from a 0.0022 price to a 0.06. Right now it's 6.2. So 0.06 to 0.062 price right now, which is astonishing compared to the kind of company we used to be. We're going to stay in this realm. We're going to move up quickly. This product is going to get better and better. We'll be adding more features to it as we go forward. And I think everybody will have a great opportunity to, make a lot of money with us.
That's very kind of you. And this concludes our interview with StrikeForce Technologies. For everyone out there, this was Mark K, CEO of StrikeForce Technologies, along with Ram, the Chief Technology Officer, and George Waller, the Head of Marketing. You may direct all your questions towards the email for StrikeForce Technologies, which is info@strikeforcetech.com. Have a great day ahead of you, and have a wonderful day. And gentlemen, thank you for your time from your such busy schedule and so many major deals happening out there. And I really appreciate the time. And you took out the time for people like myself who are retail investors, and traders, but we are also entrepreneurs. And definitely, I've been seeing Safe Chat running as smooth as anything throughout the interview. The voice clarity is very good. Everything is so responsive. And I congratulate you all on this successful product. And I will personally use it. And if any of the retail investors want to use it, may they redirect their emails to your email address?
Yes. Yes,
Sure.
they can reach out to us by all means.
Sure. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Mark, George, Ram, it's been wonderful talking to you, and I look forward to having more conversations in the future.
Well, thank you for your time.
All right.
So we will stop recording now.
Yep, let me stop that.